Today we got the third teaser for Season 10, and oh man, it shows so much stuff, especially a bunch of secrets that we are going to dissect. Not only does it show 2 skins, but it also helps us figure out what the next skins could be, and even a possible returning version of Ghoul Trooper. Alright guys, welcome back to another Fortnite video, and in this one, oh man, do we have a ton of stuff to talk about. I was saying on Twitter earlier today that, man, today's video is going to be so good because of all of this stuff that we have to cover. And by the way, I'm still doing a giveaway over on my Twitter, but today's the last day to enter. Either way though, we're going to be talking a ton about skins for the Season 10 Battle Pass, and I'm excited to get into it. So watch this video until the end because there is so much to cover for the Season 10 Battle Pass, the skins and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and get into it, guys. Hit that like button down below if you are hyped for Season 10, and also comment down below what skin you are using right now since we're talking about skins. And of course, guys, if you're getting the Season 10 Battle Pass, be sure to use code TheLlamaSir if you appreciate these videos, my challenge guide videos, stuff like that. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. And let's start it off by jumping into the secrets about today's teaser that was released. And then after that, we'll get into it with like how Ghoul Trooper and stuff like that could return. So again, guys, watch this video until the end for all of the info. But jumping into it with the teaser, the overview of it itself, here is what we got today. Fortnite put this image out, and oh man, there is a lot to go over here. Obviously, this time around, we are not getting to see a location or anything like that. I guess the second teaser was more so like it showed that robot. And by the way, guys, if you missed my last video covering those 2 teasers, I will leave a link to it down below in the description. There's a ton of stuff to talk about with that. But yeah, for this one, we instead get a look at 2 new skins that are more than likely from the Battle Pass, and there's a lot to take note of here. So obviously, the one on the left, before we get into like the specific details about it, the one on the left is like a skull skeleton type dude, so that one is by far super interesting. And then on the right, it looks like a little bit of a cat. Now there's a lot more to that character, but we'll get into that in just a sec here. But first, let's discuss this skeleton dude and how it could actually be an alien instead. Oh, and sorry, before I forget, the caption for this image is pretty interesting as well. It's simple, but what it says is twist time. And then of course the date for August 1st, 2019. So obviously in line with the previous 2, which I think started with think back and then look forward and then this time twist time. So if there was any confusion about, you know, time travel being the theme of this season, I think we definitely know now. But yeah, getting back into it with this skeleton skin, let's get into the secrets. Now personally, I feel like this could be the tier 100 skin, but at the same time, they've been doing it sort of like backwards, where like the earlier skins are a lot of the time like super cool, especially with Season 8. We actually had a skeleton skin in Season 8, which is very interesting. And by the way, could those 2 skins be related? I don't exactly know. Obviously, they're pretty similar, to be honest, and obviously the skin I'm talking about is Blackheart, but in his stages where he becomes a skeleton, there are definitely similarities. However, there are some differences as well that we can jump into right here. Now, the first of which that I want to jump into is, first of all, that this doesn't look like a human skull. Obviously, at first it does, but take a look at the details of it. Obviously, the top of it looks too long to be human, especially if you look at like the very top back. Yeah, it looks way too long. And then there's even some more obvious things like the thing on the side, which is like a hole. That is not very human at all. I don't even know why that would be there, but yeah, for sure, that's something else. And then if you take a look at the teeth specifically, those are not human teeth. Those are way too long, way too narrow as well, even to be like an artistic version of this. So could this instead be an alien head or an alien skull? Or is it even a skull at all? Maybe it is in fact like an alien creature, and this is simply what their heads look like. In fact, that does seem to remind me quite a bit about the fiends or cube monsters, whatever you want to call them. There's definitely similarities between them. So yeah, that's something to take note of. Also, obviously there are flames around it, which is pretty cool as well. That could point towards maybe this being a fiend themed skin or something along those lines. But again, effects like that mean that it could be the tier 100 skin, but honestly, it depends on how they want to do it. Do they want to have the coolest skin at the front that you unlock right away, or at tier 100? It's honestly a coin flip at this point. And then the final secret thing about this skin is like the jacket he seems to be wearing, or not like a jacket, maybe a suit. So I bumped up the brightness a little bit right here so you can see it a bit clearer, and honestly it is confusing. He has this big collar that goes around his neck, so I'm not exactly sure what that is. However, there does seem to be either a strap or a handle right here. This red thing, maybe it's the strap for that collar, maybe it's a pull tab for something. It kind of reminds me of like a space suit, so I'm not sure if that's what it is. And if again this is like an alien themed skin, a space suit would make a lot of sense. So that's personally what I'm leaning towards, but I'm not exactly sure at this point since it is fairly dark and hard to see. But if you guys have ideas, comment them down below because I'd love to hear what you have to say. Now moving on to the next skin here, the one on the right. This is very interesting as well because as you may have been able to tell, this is like Drift's evil stepbrother or something. It's definitely pretty peculiar because that is indeed similar to Drift, and that's very, very obvious for various different reasons, but the main one is that symbol on the very front of his head. That symbol is the same exact symbol that we see on Drift's mask, and actually this is probably a mask as well, so this character is more than likely a human character, but yeah, that symbol is the same, which is very interesting. Now at the same time, you can also take note of how his collar, or whatever you want to call it, the thing like over his shoulder, is very similar to the one Drift has as well. So overall, guys, it's pretty much confirmed that this is some variant of Drift, which would have to have something to do with the story, whether time travel. I would assume maybe this is in the future, maybe this is the future version of Drift. I'm not exactly sure, and if you guys have ideas, comment them down below. However, I will say that I do not think this is Drift. I think it is an entirely different character because the mask itself seems to instead be more of a cat. Judging from the ears, the eyes, also the nose is smaller like a cat's, whereas Drift's mask is more of a, I think a fox is what it's inspired by, but you can tell that there's quite a few differences, again, looking at like the ears, eyes, and the nose. So with that being said, I'm pretty sure this is a separate character entirely and is going to have a big role in the story more than likely. Now after that then, guys, let's talk about what could be the overall theme for skins, or like what the other skins in the battle pass could be themed after, because I do have a few ideas about it, and one of them is that we could go back to old skins for the battle pass, or like versions of old school skins. Now there's also my theory about like future post-apocalyptic type skins, and we'll get into that as well, but let's start it off with the old school skins, and like, could Ghoul Trooper be one of those skins? I know that sounds crazy, and honestly it could happen in one way or another, which I will explain. So yeah, watch through this because I will explain why I think something along those lines is possible. Now the first of which, guys, and this is sort of like what started this idea of mine, talking about those teasers that we've already seen. Now obviously, guys, the first one was Dusty Divot, or sorry, Dusty Depot. I'm so used to calling it Dusty Divot. If one of the big themes of this season is, you know, going back, and the specific thing they said was thinking back to like old school Fortnite season 1, season 2, that was around when Ghoul Trooper got released, and also a bunch of other skins. I mean, Renegade Raider. So since one of the themes of the season is think back, go back in time with like Dusty Depot and stuff like that, it would make sense that the skins would have to fit in with that theme, because there's always skins that fit in with the theme of the season. Now on top of that, Ghoul Trooper was never re-released in the shop. It was only released the first Halloween of Fortnite Battle Royale, but it was never released again. When the next Halloween came around after that, we did get Skull Trooper, but Ghoul Trooper was specifically kept out. I'm pretty sure every other skin from Halloween, we also had the Reaper pickaxe or the scythe, that came back, but Ghoul Trooper was like the only one that didn't come back. So it seems like they were saving it for something, and what if they saved it for the battle pass? Now obviously we've never seen them release store skins into the battle pass, but that doesn't mean they couldn't do that this time around. And also obviously they have to keep battle pass skins exclusive after the fact, but they could definitely do so because they haven't re-released Ghoul Trooper yet, so there's nothing keeping them from, you know, continuing to not re-release it in like the item shop. Now as much as that would be pretty interesting to see, I think it might go another direction, and we could instead see skins that are inspired by like classic skins like Renegade Raider, Ghoul Trooper. Another one is Codename Elf. That one was in like the same boat as Ghoul Trooper, as it was like the only, I'm pretty sure, holiday skin to not re-release for the second holiday, which again is very peculiar. But what if the battle pass skins are like new versions of those inspired by them? It's definitely a possibility, especially looking at how we had Summer Drift was a version of obviously Drift, but that was sort of like backwards. Drift was in the battle pass and Summer Drift was in the item shop, but it shows that they've done that sort of already before a little bit. And now we even have another version of Drift here in the battle pass that we've already seen. The other thing that I think could be another possibility about this, because it does seem like we have sort of multiple themes for this season. You know, you've got think back, looking forward, and again, if you missed my video yesterday talking about the looking forward, we talked about how it could be pointing towards a post-apocalyptic part of the map, and obviously skins could fit in with that very, very well, having them sort of similar. Like I'm thinking about like Rust Lord types of skins like that, maybe Renegade Raider, you know, skins that would fit in with like a ruined city or something like that, where they're trying to survive with like scraps of metal and such. And yeah, it's just another thing that could fit in with the story very well, but we'll have to wait and see. You know, season 10 is just around the corner, so I cannot wait to officially get into it, start doing some more challenge guides for the battle pass to help you guys out. Gonna be a lot of fun. And then guys, for the final thing I wanted to talk about that sort of goes in line with this, it basically has to do with the orb and how it's sort of like was in front of us the entire time that we would be having like a time travel season. Because as I was thinking about it, isn't it really weird that, you know, Neo Tilted and Mega Mall came out of nowhere? I mean, they really did. Take a look at all of the other locations that stayed the same during this. If we had gone into the future like normally with with just time passing during, playing on the map. One of the other locations have gotten futuristic as well. However, these two locations, plus like the random stuff like the slipstreams and the pressure plant, those got updated a bit, but everything else stayed exactly the same. So with that being said, I think it's more than likely that Singularity instead used the orb that we know was in the vault to bring these locations to the map and stuff like that. And that's also pretty much proven by the fact that Bunker Jonesy, he didn't get much older. Yes, he grew a beard. I'm not exactly sure how long that would take to grow the beard that he has, but he looks about the same age. So maybe guess around 10 years. I don't really know. But he comes out of his bunker and all of a sudden Neo Tilted is there. I think it's because the orb just borrowed some tech or something from the future and brought it back into the current Fortnite world. And that's similar what's going to happen for next season when we get the even more future stuff and also the old locations and things. So yeah, guys, that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to hit that subscribe button for more season 10 videos as soon as that season comes out. On top of that, you can check out some of my previous videos here, such as on the left, going over the previous two teasers, going into the secrets about them, and then below that, another fun video I'm sure you'll enjoy. But other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will see you in the next one.